welcome to The Explainer. Today we are going to dig deep, and yeah, I mean that literally, into one of the most important but so often forgotten steps in building a house, soil testing. Because let me tell you, what you can't see can bring the whole thing crashing down. So, think about this for a second. When you picture your dream home, right, you're probably thinking about the kitchen, the big windows, the nice roof. But what about the ground itself? The stuff that everything is resting on. What's actually hiding right under your feet? Because here's the scary truth. The number one reason foundations fail has nothing to do with the construction you can see. It's the soil, the ground itself. If it's unstable, you're looking at huge problems. I'm talking massive cracks running up your walls, floors that start to sink, and in a worst-case scenario, a total collapse. It's a completely invisible danger with very, very visible consequences.
So, how in the world do you fight an enemy you can't even see? Well, you've got to diagnose the problem before it starts. You have to give the ground a health checkup. Or, to put it another way, you give it a blood test.
And look, this isn't about some old-timer kicking the dirt and saying, yep, looks good. No way. Soil testing is a proper scientific analysis. It digs into the physical and chemical details of the ground to give engineers the cold, hard data they need to build something that's actually safe. And this analogy, it is just perfect. You know how a doctor takes a blood sample to see what's really going on inside your body? A soil test does the exact same thing for the earth. It reveals all the hidden secrets, its strengths, its weaknesses, and most importantly, whether it's healthy enough to hold up a house. So what are they looking for in this blood test for the ground? Well, it really boils down to a few critical things. First, the soil type. Is it sticky clay, grainy sand, or something else? Then the moisture content. Is the ground basically a sponge, or is it bone dry? And then the big one, the bearing capacity. In plain English, how much weight can this ground actually hold? All of this data is designed to answer one single vital question. Can the soil carry my home? Okay, so how does this actually get done? It's a pretty cool process, actually. It's a real investigation that moves from the construction site all the way to a high-tech lab. It all starts with something called soil boring. That's where engineers drill way down into the ground, pulling up these long core samples from different depths. Then, right there on the spot, they'll run some field tests to get instant reads on things like moisture. And finally, those samples get carefully packaged and sent off to a lab for the really deep, in-depth analysis. It's a full-on forensic investigation of the ground. And let me be absolutely clear about this. This is not a do-it-yourself project. This is highly specialized work. It's done by geotechnical engineers and properly accredited labs. These are the experts who know how to read the data and make sure you're not cutting a corner that could risk everything. Okay, so the lab results are in. Now what? Well, this is where the magic happens. This is the moment all that science gets translated directly into the actual blueprint for your home's foundation. And believe me, the results can change everything. If the soil turns out to be weak, you're going to need a deep foundation. That means drilling these long piers way down until they hit solid bedrock, transferring the weight to a stronger layer. That's complex, and it's expensive. But if the soil is strong, then you can use a simple, shallow foundation that just spreads the load right on the stable ground near the surface. So much simpler and a whole lot cheaper. And that's a huge takeaway here, so don't miss it. This isn't just about safety. It is absolutely about your wallet. Getting good news from a soil test can literally save you thousands, maybe even tens of thousands of dollars by letting you build a simpler, more affordable foundation.
You know, when you boil it all down, all this information points to one fundamental, non-negotiable principle in construction. Let's call it the builder's golden rule.
It's this. Every single thing you see on a house, the walls, the roof, all of it, is completely and totally dependent on the foundation you can't see. Real lasting safety doesn't start with the frame or the roof. It starts underground. And I just love how our source material puts this. We shouldn't look at soil testing as just some annoying bureaucratic hoop to jump through. It's an act of protection. It's not just a requirement, it's a lifesaver. So I'll leave you with this final thought. When it comes to the place you and your family will call home, You don't want it built on guesswork. You want it built on solid, dependable engineering certainty. And soil testing is what provides that certainty. So the real question isn't whether you can afford the test, it's whether you can possibly afford to skip it.